Hey guys, welcome back to Teal House Farm. If you're new here, I'm Laura, mom of 6, and also special needs mom. One of our children has some pretty significant medical and just developmental challenges. And we live on a 10-acre homestead where we try to be somewhat self-sustainable and very frugal and all of those kinds of things, low waste, those kinds of things. And today I wanted to have a little chat about one of those things I feel like is kind of the elephant in the room, especially in the special needs parenting community. And it really comes down to, like, why is homeopathy so hard? So I think today in America, I don't know about other countries because obviously I don't live there, but today in America there's a very big push, and I feel like a lot of pressure put on parents like myself with kids with considerable special medical or behavioral or other considerations about what we generally call homeopathic remedies. Now I understand that if you actually were to define the word homeopathy, it's much more specific than how we use it in the vernacular. And so when I say homeopathy, I'm kind of using the vernacular where we really are referring to anything that has to do with whole body health, so functional medicine, naturopathic medicine, homeopathic medicine, basically looking at natural cures, things that you can find, in their raw form in nature to support or cure issues, medical issues or behavioral issues, and they're usually intertwined. And I feel like in our society today, there's a big pushback against pharmaceuticals, and there's a lot of good reasons for that, very legitimate reasons. But I feel like as a special needs parent that it's not really talked about why homeopathy is so hard and why it's so overwhelming. And just that it's not as simple as it seems, and that you are not a failure if it doesn't work for you. So right now we are working on making a big change for Annie, a big diet change. So I can back up a little bit. If you're brand new here, there's a lot of things that go into the different diagnoses that Annie has. We don't talk about all of them on the channel, but the two we do talk about a lot are her cerebral palsy symptoms and her epilepsy, and those are related because they're related to a brain injury. And her epilepsy has gone up and down, and we've gone through times when it was very well controlled and times when it is not well controlled. And right now is one of those times that it is not well controlled. And we have an excellent traditional evidence-based medicine, Western medicine neurologist at Children's Hospital here. And I wish everybody who has a child that's struggling with the same things could meet her neurologist and have an appointment with him, because we have had neurologists in the past that I felt like were just there for the paycheck and explained nothing to me. And the one that she's had for almost 3 years now, he explains everything thoroughly. He never acts like he doesn't have enough time for you, and he's very caring, and he generally seems to care about his patients and want the best for his patients. And one of the things that he did for us when we first met him is he went back and went over all of her old tests with us for her epilepsy and explained them all to us and exactly what they meant in very plain terms, which nobody had ever done for me before. And then he came up with his kind of suggested list, and obviously with any condition there's never a straight path. But he said, looking forward and looking at what we know now, which could change, okay, as medicine evolves or as she grows and we see new issues, could change. These are the steps that I think I can see us taking. And there were just some things on the list where we will try this, and if this fails, then we'll try this, and if this fails, this is next. And it gave me a lot of peace of mind as a parent, because it felt like before that there were just so many unknowns, and it was just like, oh my gosh, what happens next if this med doesn't work? Are they just going to tell us that they give up, And I felt like I had a really nice, list. But unfortunately, at the bottom of the list, he said, if we get to the bottom here, things go how I anticipate them going. If we ever get to the bottom, we may need to consult a neurosurgeon about surgical options. Or it would be something to talk about or something to consider. And at that time, it was well down the list, really wasn't that worried about it. But as the years have passed, we have fallen through this list. And like I said, gone through periods where it seemed like a new med was working, but then her body adapted, seemed like certain more natural remedies, like melatonin or really scheduled sleep cycles, that they were working and keeping it balanced, and then her body would adapt or there would be a new trigger, and we were just kind of falling through the list. And as I've watched the bottom of the list get closer, I realized that I wanted to give natural remedies, homeopathic changes, those kind of things. Again, using homeopathic in the vernacular, not just meaning like herbs and oils and things like that, but everything that encompasses like diet changes and stuff, that I was going to give it one last go, because I want to know that before we start talking about consulting a neurosurgeon, that we have exhausted other options, that I didn't just miss something simple because I was too scared to try. And so we did. Or I say him is 100% supportive, but obviously he works full-time and is in school full-time. And so he was not able to come with me, but we decided that the next step, the thing that we hadn't tried, that had always been kind of on our list, but we really could never afford it, was what's called functional medicine. Functional medicine is, they're doctors that are focused on whole body healing. There's a couple downsides to functional medicine from a parenting point of view. One of them is that it's like never covered by insurance, so you better be ready to have some deep pockets because they can get expensive pretty fast. And the other kind of downside for me as a parent is if I'm going to put all the effort into trying something, I really want to see evidence that there's a decent chance that it's going to work. With pharmaceutical medications, you can look and you could see what percentage of kids like Annie have success with this med, and what percentage of kids like Annie have really bad side effects, so maybe we don't want to try that, things like that. But with functional medicine, it's a lot of anecdotal evidence, and that doesn't mean that functional medicine is bad. It's a different organization. It's probably not nearly as well funded as the entire pharmaceutical community, and so running tests, creating data, it takes numbers and it takes time and it takes an incredible amount of money. So after some looking around, we found what's called a functional neurologist. So it's a functional medicine doctor. It specifies in neurology. And I'll be honest, I made the appointment and I almost didn't go. Not just the cost, but I don't know. One of the biggest things that I have found about natural medicine, homeopathic medicine, is they tend to be extremely, almost toxically positive. And I'm not saying that people don't have absolutely amazing outcomes. I've seen it in my own life. I have a friend that saw a functional medicine doctor about migraines, and it like changed her life by doing food sensitivity testing and completely changing her diet and taking some extra supplements. Like, she has so much more freedom in her life, and that's wonderful. But we've been through a couple different kinds of natural medicine doctors in our lifetime, both for Annie and for other kids and for myself. And I feel like they're always extremely positive about how the outcome is going to be great. And when the outcome is not great, which happens, it leaves you extremely disappointed. And as a parent who's always rooting for their child, it's very hard to be continually disappointed, to feel like something is really working and then 3 months later it stops working. Or maybe it wasn't really working at all, because I mean, she does tend to have just gaps. She doesn't have seizures every day, so we thought it was working, but it really wasn't, and she was just a ticking time bomb anyway, you know. And so I almost canceled the appointment because I was like, I just don't want to go through this again. I don't want to go to an appointment and have kind of what I call the toxic positivity of how we're going to change her life and blah blah blah, and spend a ton of money and then have be left just where we are now. I could have just saved the money and we could have had a fun family day somewhere, and all the kids could have enjoyed it, instead of us spending even more money on something for Annie and not the other kids. But I decided that if we were going to be falling through this list and I was going to maybe have to talk about neurosurgery, that we just needed to do this. I needed to know for me and for Annie and for us that we had tried everything. So I went, and the doctor was very kind. He was very knowledgeable. We went through a lot of things. The appointment was very lengthy. It was about 2 hours, and he did a whole bunch of tests with eye movements and balance and neurological testing, which if you have a kid who has neurological issues, the nose touches and the hand motion and all the silly things that seem silly that they do, but tell them a lot about how your brain is working, which are the same things. Some of those were the same things that she does with her regular neurologist either. And we didn't have any like epic new findings. His diagnosis agreed right with what everyone else has told us and what the issues were. But his suggestion was to give us a bunch of exercises that we do multiple times every day to help stimulate the damaged areas of her brain. And then also to do a massive diet overhaul. And so that's why I'm filming this video, or how I started filming this video, because I'm sitting here trying to create menu plans and take notes, looking up online how to go around a diet overhaul. We have done it once before when she was like 2. We really didn't want her on meds because back then we were like super duper crunchy, and we were also super duper broke. and we had, instead of insurance, we had a Christian health sharing plan, which was absolutely wonderful for 10 years. Until we had a child with significant disabilities, and they are not designed. And it says right in their, bylaws that there's a lot of things they don't cover for kids with significant issues. And we found ourselves wrapped in a whole lot of medical debt and just struggling to figure out what to do next. Thank heavens that America has a safety net for children with disabilities through the Medicaid program, because they have helped her get everything that she needs. And if you watch back through our videos, her surgeries and the things for her cerebral palsy, she is absolutely soaring and has been able to do things that they told us she would never ever be able to do. And I am so thankful that we figured that out. But back when she was 2, we weren't in that position, and we were trying to figure out how to not spend, looking at the meds, $500 or $600 a month, because our health sharing ministry does not cover, or did not cover, prescriptions. I still don't think they do for people who are members. And that was all out of pocket, and that's like with the cash pay discount. And so we tried a massive diet overhaul at the suggestion of our pediatrician, and we did it for about somewhere between 45 and 60 days. She still had 3 seizures while we did it, and we stopped doing it because we couldn't afford it anymore. We started first doing it for the whole family. It was way too expensive, so we did it for just Annie, which meant I was cooking 2 meals every time I cooked, basically. And she was still having seizures, and after that last one, I was like, this isn't working. We can't really afford it anyway. We're gonna stop. And that's when we really started trying to figure out how to get her insured and looking at what was available through our state and things like that. So that's a long story to say that we've already tried a diet overhaul, and it was a bit of a failure. But we are now in a better position to try again. But I just cannot overstate like how frustrating and how hard this kind of, I guess you call it medical treatment, this homeopathic natural like diet changes, how hard it is. And that's where that's where this comes from. People talk about, have you tried ... or I know a friend who took ... out of so-and-so's diet, it changed their life. And you're like, well, there's so many things to try. There's so many opinions out there. There aren't clear-cut protocols unless you're specifically doing keto for epilepsy, which Annie's not a good candidate for. We've already talked to her neurologist at length about that and learned about the pros and cons and what kind of epilepsy it helps with, and even the dangers that can come from being in full ketosis as a young child. There's a lot of growing to do. But the functional medicine doctor did feel like a very strict diet could help reduce inflammation in her body, which helps reduce brain irritability, which in turn will help reduce or prevent seizures from happening. But it's completely overwhelming. It's so hard because, like I said, there aren't direct protocols. Like, what do you give up? It's a guess. Some people give up, some people say just don't do preservatives, no white sugar, it's terrible for you and causes inflammation, no colors. Okay, but then a lot of other people say, well, you also shouldn't do dairy or gluten. Okay, and then some people are like, well, any carbs really, or only carbs from fruits and vegetables. You shouldn't be eating any grain. You know, like, where does it stop, and where do I decide where it stops? Do we go pull it all the way back? Do we do it just her? Do we do the whole family? The amount of, even if when I decide, and I think I've kind of decided, I think we're going to do no added sugars. We're going to really watch even added sugars that are like honey. Absolutely no sweeteners, no colors, no artificial preservatives, no refined carbs. That's kind of what I've come up with. Even if I do all that, the work, that's just like, this is just the beginning of the work, making a list. Like, then I got to figure out how to change our diet to match. I got to figure out where I can buy the products I need. Being very rural, there aren't a lot of options. So I got to figure that out. I tried today to go to Sam's Club, which is the nearest like big grocery store to us. It's about an hour away. I tried to go with all the kids, but you can't stand there and read labels when you have 6 kids with you. My kids are very well behaved in the grocery store, but there is a limit to the patience that a 1-year-old and a 2.5-year-old have. Even the older kids, there's a limit to the patience and what you can expect reasonably from them without having unreasonable expectations for them, for their patience. So I really didn't get very far reading through labels, trying to find things to replace things we use every day. And then even after I find all the things that I want and go grocery shopping, make my menu plan, it all has to be prepped, right? So there's no like quick grab snacks for most of this. Like, everything has to be prepped for the week, and you better be prepared because everything's going to take a long time to prepare for scratch. If you're waiting until 4:30 in the afternoon, you're not going to be eating dinner till 8 o'clock, things like that. And at the end of the day, all of that work is on me as mom, as the kind of what people call the default parent, the one who's at home all day. When I already have like a million things that have to be done, now I also have to be very specific about the menu and the food, and we can't have easy days where we're just like, oh, let's go order a pizza, because she can't if we try this, we're gonna go 60 to 90 days with zero cheating, so I know specifically, is it working or is it not working? So I guess all of this is just to say that we're going to give it one last go. And if this doesn't work, then I will go forward with zero shame that we were not able to find the right diet or the right supplements or the right essential oils blend or the right whatever nonsense to prevent seizures, to help with behavior issues, that we gave it, 1,000% of our best effort and at the max of what our financial and time and emotional resources are, because as a special needs parent, your mental health is important too. It's not just your children. And then we'll just move on, I guess, to the next thing and continue to go through our list and trust that whatever the end result is what it is, and just kind of take it day by day as we make future decisions and try to decide what is best for her. All right, those are all my thoughts for today. I am going to stop jabbering and get back to work on my lists. I'm going to go shopping without all the kids, and I'm going to try to shop for an entire month of groceries, so that I can be well prepped ahead, and I will show you that haul, and I will explain, probably even post the menu if anybody is genuinely curious, what I would, kind of along the lines of what the doctor suggested would make an anti-inflammatory diet for her, even though he gave some specific ideas, but he wasn't like completely specific. So some of it is my own opinion and my own research, which could be right or wrong, who knows. And I hope that it works. This could also be a complete waste of time, but I will be glad either way that we tried it before we have to continue to look forward to other options that we may not be super excited about. So thanks so much for watching. We will see you all really soon. Bye.